Right here, I'm going to take that in and do that on the bench grinder. Get that flat. And this one here, I need to do the same thing. Of course, I can't do it on the bench grinder, but I took a little 4-inch grinder, 4.5, and I put a new grinding wheel on it because I want it nice and flat. Take this caliper, get an ID on this. I already got that pretty well measured out. By the time I get this ground down, it's going to be probably a little bigger than that. I already did all of this. I'm just trying to get it on camera now. Putting this up here. I got this pretty well flush with that side. And I can plainly see I've got more than a 1/16, probably 3/32. And that's going to get even bigger, that gap, when I grind that down. But we got some washers. Got some grade 8 washers, and I'm going to try to, if I grind that down enough, I might squeeze 2 washers in there. And I don't know if they're both going to go on the same side or not. Got to figure that out. But I got to do the grinding first. Looks like I ground this one out just right. 2 washers will just fit in there. But the new bolts are too short. They did not have the size that I needed, so I still have to find new bolts. As you can see, it's not coming out all the way. It's just barely making it to the end. Now on the bottom bolt, we have a gap over here. You can see there's a gap there, and I'm not going to grind on this. That would be easier, but I'm going to grind this one because this is a small part that's replaceable. You can't really consider these gear cases replaceable, although they are, but it's about a $5,000 job. It's not worth it. So we will grind this little bracket down on this side, and it's got some wear on it anyway. So we'll grind that down enough to fit 1 washer. We'll get the grinding done where I normally get my nuts and bolts. They don't have the size that I need, so I'll have to go and get these somewhere else. Got a washer cut out, and that space where it's a very snug, tight fit, I could hammer that old bolt through and get it in, and then do the top. But I don't want to fight with getting those bolts back out. Once I get them in, I want to leave them in and tighten them down real tight. So I'm just going to leave it like that until I get the new bolts. This is the next day, and I'm not sure where I left off with these. I got my bolts, and it took a lot of running around to find them too. And the bolts, because of this pipe here, which is not a good design, because of that pipe being right in the way of the bolt, part of the threads of the bolt are going to be inside the hole instead of the shank of the bolt, which is not such a good idea with the strain that's on this system. And I'm going to use grade 5 bolts instead of grade 8, because grade 8 bolts have a tendency to snap. They're too brittle and they can crack and break. I'll use grade 5s, and I'll have extras, and then every couple of years I'll just change them. Alright, this bolt's going to go through here. That's the hole the bolt goes through. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's that washer here. And it's going to be too long. The threaded portion is going to be out here into this pipe. So I'm going to cut some of it off. Alright, I got my nut and washers on there, and it's just on the outside of that bracket. So I'll take this in and I'll go on ahead and trim this end of that thread off so I'm not hitting that pipe with it. And then the nut is on there, so that'll help to clean the thread after I'm done trimming that off. Got that trimmed off and buffed up on the end there. Now I'm ready to put that together. That should be a pretty snug fit. I'm not going to use this old nut. That's the one. It's a better nut, but it's the one that I had to heat up really hot to get it off. So the threads are stressed and the corners are kind of wiped off a little bit. So it's not a better nut in its condition, but it's a better style because it's got the built-in flange on it. Here's another one like that, but this is a bigger one. That's a 1/2 inch for the main alternator bolt that goes across the bottom here. Oh, here's the other nut. I knew I had one out here, didn't know where it was. Well, you don't need to watch me tighten them down. But anyway, the bracket is not wobbly anymore, and saved me from probably a $6,000 or $8,000 job of changing the gear case. Well, no one's going to change the gear cases over that. What they do is, I think I mentioned it earlier, is that they change the alternator, the air conditioning bracket, and they go with the one that's got the serpentine belt, and it's got the combination air conditioning and alternator in one bracket, and the alternator bolts down on it firmly. It doesn't adjust. So you got to change the air conditioning pulley, and change the air conditioning pulley to a serpentine type, change the accessory drive to serpentine type, and somewhere along the line there's going to be a tension pulley mounted to it. I don't know where that goes, but it's probably going to cost $600-800 or more to do that job. So if you absolutely have to go that route, it is an option to just update it to a serpentine belt. But it's costly, and with labor and everything, I'm sure it'll be $1,200-1,400 probably to to do that job, I would guess. I don't really know. I didn't price the parts. I just found out that that is an available option. Okay, I'm going to tighten this stuff down and put the alternator back on. No one needs to watch me do that. Got it all bolted up, put back together. Alternator looks like it's in there square. The pulleys are square with the other pulleys. It's all tight and charging and running good. Now I got to do these tires. I got to put these tires on. I bought these tires yesterday and wheels, and I mounted them up.